Well, good morning, everyone. Hey, what a wonderful show. We've got a great guest with us today. Good morning. We've got Spencer Hodgetts with Reboundog. And I got to know Spencer off of LinkedIn. And then I realized that not only is Spencer a friend of mine, but he's a friend of just about everybody that I know. So that meant that there was a connection there and it was time for us to start talking. So one thing led to another, and I realized, my gosh, he is in such alignment with what the Dog Connection does, from connecting dogs to our prison programs, to what Roman does, to what Gaetan and I have been doing. So I thought, what better way than to have him on our show? So we want to welcome you, Spencer, to our show.
Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, Spencer, we realize that what you have been doing has been a phenomenal thing, and your main goal has been to take undesirable dogs and disadvantaged people. We would love to know how did that start? Where did that inspiration come from?
Probably all my life. Lost my mum when I was dead young through alcoholism, and ended up with a rescue dog in the 70s when I was a teenager, living on a beach in North Wales. So he became what would now be called a emotional support animal. Didn't exist at that time, and I still don't do therapy. It's not my thing. So I'd always had this connection with listening with nature and animals and so forth. So I understood that, and we've rescued dogs for over 40 years. And about 5 years ago, somebody, probably on one of the Facebook type things, sent me a video of one of these prison dog training programs. And I'd come out of a background of sustainability and that sort of thing, and looking for a new angle to what I want to do the rest of my life. And this program, as you can see from your recent show with Zach, it's that something lit a light bulb in one of those programs. It's that connection when the dog meets the person, and neither gives a monkey's of what the background is the other person, because it's the first time anybody has actually listened to somebody for the first time without prejudgment. And I thought that makes so much sense. It's that deep listening connection, that they're listening without prejudgment. I thought, how do I do something with this? Yes, you've got 300 prison programs in the States, and there's only one in the UK. So I looked at how I could do it, and I thought I could either go and bang on doors and try and get everybody to create new programs in the UK. I could become a dog trainer and take one dog into a prison, and it's a slow process. So I thought, what can I do? What do I enjoy doing? What am I good at? I enjoy and I'm good at networking people, and I'm good at networking influencers. So my role with Reboundog as a host and a founder is not to actually go out and launch a new prison dog program like Zach has done in California, which is wonderful work, but it's to bring those influencers together. And what if we can bring those influencers together so they create more impact, and they start to, and not only just within one sector of the dog society or social workers. So what if we bring a diverse group of people together? So you bring the trade associations in, you bring the dog trainers in, you bring the social workers in. And that's what Reboundog is doing, and that's what we're doing on the sofa meetups, is having virtual meetups on a virtual sofa, as if you would in a live room. And those conversations are sparking engagement. And
Go ahead.
And my passion is, and as somebody who's been kicked around most of his life, and
Whoops, we lost him. Whoops. Okay, he's from England, folks, and he had a bit of a difficulty getting into the show, probably internet connection. So I'm going to carry on from here. Roman, I'd love to ask you on this for a second, because he's talking about the prison program from bringing in mental health, and he's saying bring the people that are disadvantaged and let them be the trainers, which is of course a prison program, but he's talking beyond a prison program. Other people that have mental health issues and not issues where it's so out of hand, but people with PTSD, let them be the trainers. People that have emotional problems, let them be the trainers. What's your feeling on that?
Well, working with people almost over 13 or 14 years, one thing that I see that people struggling is the disempowerment they have. usually people with disadvantages, like health disadvantages or emotional disadvantages, their power is being taken away from them, and they're going through a life, and everybody else makes decisions for them. It's very empowering at some point to feel that you can change your environment, that you can affect your environment by making correct decisions, and it becomes kind of a chain reaction. If I finally, even in my disabilities, I can make right decisions and have a right effect, it changed me who I am. And I tried to work with prisons. Unfortunately, I got disadvantaged because I was a trainer, and I supposed not to train dogs as a trainer in a training program for prisoners. So I was basically disadvantaged for being a trainer. So I recognize that there's a miscommunication here in different levels. What a person can do and what person can do. There's always prejudgment that our friend explained to us. And it goes in both directions. People who are inside feel they're disadvantaged, and we are outside, we think we're advantaged. How can we merge them together and have everybody benefit from it? So people who are in those positions, and basically everything is being taken away from them, and we should not judge from as an outsider why these people are in. So everybody has his own story, why he's in there, and they're already paying the price. Continuing judging them for something they have already done in the past or something they've been judged for is not different than bully breeds that we judge them for having a short muzzle and never being able to get out of there. So I feel it's a good approach to give those people a chance to reintegrate into the society, because the reason why they are there is because the society failed them. There is no person who did something for no reason. There is no person who made a choice without thinking that's the best choice. And
Okay.
we should give those people a chance too, making those decisions, helping dogs, and those dogs give them the power to make right decisions and take that knowledge outside and be somebody as soon as they get out of there.
Well, what I thought I'd do, because it looks as though Spencer's trying to get back in. He's saying, I'm trying to. His internet is down. And we kind of experienced that here this morning, too. As a matter of fact, the internet went down. And I thought, oh, my goodness. But let's look at his website, because this is what we'll go over, too. He's talking about that it's a platform where animal advocacy and mental health professionals disrupt the world. And no, he's trying to get in, but he's not in yet.
He's coming.
Oh, yeah, he's trying to. Okay, so this is about challenging society's attitude to undesirable dogs and disadvantaged people. What he says is that people that, oh, here he is. He's just about trying to. Technology. Hey, Spencer.
There we are.
There we go. We got you. We've been carrying on and talking about your shows, and that's okay.
No.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's all right. Okay.
So actually,
so I've got chat
we
up.
were
Let's
talking.
Get rid of that.
Can you hear us?
I was talking to myself. Yes, I can hear you.
Did you say you were okay? I heard you say that you were talking to yourself. Well, that's good. Okay, I think we left off where you were talking about your meetups and how you're doing things, etc. And I wanted to back up a little bit because we went a little bit too fast through all of how you're doing that. So I've got a link here of everybody that they should go to Reboundog and see Reboundog.
Thank you.
Go back and see exactly about who he is, where he comes from. And there's one sentence here that I really liked where he's trying, hang on here a second. He says, you said that you went to a medicine walk and you were told that you have a deeply relational gift of listening to and learning from a living sensate world. That is who you are. Go use it well in service. So apparently you've done that, haven't you?
That's what I think I'm doing. I'm always the humble guy that never realized I've achieved. But yes, I did that through a business coach in Santa Fe. My background, as I said right at the beginning, if I got through, is that I grew up on a seashore, on a shoreline, on a beach with a dog. So I've always had that deep understanding of the natural world. I spent half of my career as a landscape contractor, so I understand natural ecosystems. So I see things, I see business, I see business networks and Reboundog in the context of a natural ecosystem. So I can see the symbiosis between relationships and how they meld and how they gel together. So the canopy of the oak trees, for instance, support the underlight that's underneath. And I see that in the same context of what we're doing here. So that's why Susanna reflected that that's what I do, that I have a relationship. And that also comes into this thought of deep listening, that if you stand quietly without being woo-woo and etc. in the natural world and switch everything off and take these earbuds off and switch everything down and just listen and watch and observe slowly what is actually happening around you, you end up with a greater stillness than 90% of the mindfulness coaches will ever teach you in this current generation. And it doesn't cost a thing to do, but it gives you an understanding of how to connect with people and how to sit back and step back. And rather than trying to be in everybody's face like this all the time with your own opinion, you're just part of you're just part of a network, a meshwork. You're part of a natural ecosystem. And society has got distorted where we've got so controlled into believing that we must achieve and do this and be part of this. And that's what happens. That's where there's a disconnect with what is labeled as disadvantaged people, whatever reason, whether they've got PTSD from being a vet, or whether they've got dyspraxia or some form of autism, or they just haven't got the school qualifications to go out and become a manager or part of a corporate business. We really need to realize everybody has an equal value. We don't all have to be top achievers and top, etc. And that's where this comment on what you've picked up that Susanna made from Santa Fe as a business coach reflected when I did a Mendelssohn walk with her, is that I can see that relationship. I can see that how there's a connection between yourself, Kathy, Gaetan, Roman, and so forth, and where the relationship is and where it can develop. And the whole idea is that it benefits society as a whole, rather than just being a benefit to you personally, say as the hostess of this TV show. It isn't just what we're doing today isn't just for your benefit and your glory. It's for the idea is that if we have this relationship and understand how society works and how we all have a value, then we have the potential to actually create a far greater social impact over a long term than we can do instantaneously by saying, oh, this show or the show before, the show after has got 10,000 views on Instagram or whatever you want to use.
Right.
And that's what we need to do. We really need to slow down. But that's where my background comes from. I walked on the beach. I watched how the flatfish hid underneath the seaweed downstream, and you could walk through the water, so you don't touch them. You don't touch them because you're part of their system. There's too much where we think we are the dominant species.
Yeah. And, it's really, really very insightful, because we have just been talking about what is the purpose of this show, of every show, and is it how many people are watching it, how many views you get, how many likes you get, or really is it about what your message is, and are people getting it clearly, and are you really contributing, or are you looking to stroke your own ego? None of us here have that agenda. We want to contribute to the well-being of others, which happens to include the dogs that make a difference in someone's life and those people that make a difference in a dog's life. So you are in alignment with exactly how we think and how we're working. So I see us all fitting together here in forming another network, so to speak, of working together for a common goal. And what is the prize here? Having an animal, having a dog that is having a good life, where they came from very, very unfortunate situations, the underdog, as you say, and then we bring them, we lift them up, and we give them the tools they need to survive and have a wonderful life, along with a companion in their life who shares their values. So absolutely. So speaking of purpose now, let's talk about your purpose. And you had given me a graphic here. Why don't we go to that? And if you'll talk about your purpose. Spencer.
Yes, I was looking at it. I believe that when we start to connect, we need to do something with a purpose greater than we are individually, because otherwise we're just massaging our self-ego. So we have to find some reason, purpose, mission, vision, whatever you want to call it. And it enables people then to relate to you, because they're not connecting for status symbols. It's breaking down the status symbols, and it's being of service. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a wonderful quote. I dreamt I was of service, etc., and I woke up. There you go. It's right down the bottom. It's right down the bottom of the page. I'm terrible at not remembering.
That's okay. I do it every day.
3 questions asked. Yeah, in my case, it's age. But on this thing, so what I looked at this when I was looking at this is you've got a guy there holding his hand out, asking to connect, and a guy there smiling that has connected. And a lot of people go out to are very good at doing their own individual thing, whether it's as a dog trainer, as a behaviorist, whether it's as a therapist, whether it's as a boarding kennel or similar. But most animal psychologists, but they're so wrapped up in their own individual business, they don't always have the time to actually achieve what they actually what they'd love to do is something greater than they are individually. And so then you take it into, you're looking at the social issues that we've been talking about recently, Kathy. Are we actually achieving those? Can we solve them individually? I don't believe any one person, any one group can actually solve these problems. They're too big. I think they're now called wicked problems. They're not created by an individual, they're not created by an organization. Neither one of those will actually solve them. So it needs to create something nowadays, because of the way we're connected on a global scale. So I looked at how I could help people. If you scroll through to the second sheet, let me show up as a second sheet. There's ways I looked at how.
Well, this was your purpose, and there's that one. That's it. Oh, we lost him again. Oh well. I guess this is not our day for broadcasting live. That's the beauty of. Go ahead, Gaetan. You're going to say something.
Yeah, just in line with what we're saying is the purpose of our show is not us. It's people like Spencer and people listening, our audience. And now we hear Spencer, and Spencer is back. Can you hear us, Spencer?
Breaking up somewhere over in the UK. Yes, I can now, Gaetan. So I looked at 6 ways of doing so. Going back to my ecological background, we have to look at diversity. I briefly talked about that, how we look at the diversity of an ecosystem. And again, within a network group. So we have a diverse range of what we're doing. We have to strategically use tools, and Kathy piped up on about it. It's not just about connecting numbers, so we have 1,000 likes on Instagram and so forth. And to be a leader, I believe you have to host your own group, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on your own website or so forth, so people can find a place to actually connect with you. And those are the three of the issues I was thinking of it in doing so. And we've all struggled in some form or another. And nature has a wonderful way of creating resilience. It adapts to local conditions and so forth. And we have to be adaptive. We have to change. If something isn't quite working, we don't have to keep going down thinking, oh, I need to create 1,000 members in my Facebook group to be successful. We have to look at new strategies, and we have to find new partners, hence the collaboration. And we have to find people that resonate with our own message. It's no point having people collaborating with us that don't have the same idea of purpose that we're looking for. And right at the bottom of it, it goes on to altruism. We have to be of service. We have to give ourselves away. And what we get out of it, we don't know. But we have to look at it and think, I have a value to add to society. My value is to add service to somebody that isn't quite able to stand up for themselves. I've always stood up for people. I've stood up as a union representing 7,000 people, so who haven't got the voice to be listened to by the CEO. And I've taken this into what I'm doing with Reboundog. It's bringing those influences together who can then actually act together and create an opportunity. So going back to the original part of this conversation, where those undesirable dogs and disadvantaged people can then participate in society, because the opportunities that they can't provide for themselves are starting to be provided as a support system where they can be, where they can participate, rather than just providing them with a service that helps them.
Right, that falls in line with what Roman does too, because Roman always is talking about that it's not the dog that has the problem, it's the person that has the problem. So in many cases, these are people that they may be homeless, they may be disadvantaged, but there's a connection that they form, but they don't know how to really make it a good connection. And Roman, you might want to talk on that just for a second about what Spencer was talking about.
Well, I totally agree with Spencer. Networking is important, especially it's a time we're walking a completely new path. And beside that, we need people like Spencer who actually open paths, path cutters, we call them, and pave the new path so people can follow those new ideas. We see that animals changing consciousness. We see that people changing consciousness. All of a sudden now we kind of create this new unity where people and animals merging together in a completely new relationship level. It was different before, and now it changes back again how it was in the past. We look back thousands of years, dogs were looking at gods. We're not going back that time, but we see there was a bigger picture here. We know that for 4 million generations, dogs lived with people. Dog generations, right? So there is an evolutionary aspect into that, how dogs connect with people. Dogs are more likely than people are with apes. That's kind of weird. Okay, we have similar family systems, we have similar nutritional systems, we make similar decisions. They don't drive a car, but we do. But we have these differences. But we recognize also that if we take an animal in a house, we call them pets. We do have something in common that we're not aware of. We have similar core traumas. We are affected and attracted to those animals for some weird reason. And I think the way Spencer also works with prisoners, the dogs they take in, at some point, there's one similar connection that both have in common. They both have to heal something that happened to them. And they're going through a healing process. And that healing process gets both of them into the next level of awareness, and that awareness they can take out in public and help other people not to get to the same spot they were before. So we see it's kind of like an upset pyramid. One person can affect, two person can affect 5, 6, 10, 15, 100, thousands of people. And so I like the Spencer actually put that dot that says, I'm starting my own pyramid. I start my own way for conveying a message. We can network. Nobody networks out there, especially in our branch. Everybody wants to do his own thing. But network now suddenly starts. And I'm glad that Spencer makes his own effort and makes such a huge impact in such a short period of time.
What I'm thinking is that this is it's really revolutionary, but it's not, Spencer. There's been networking going on for a long time, but I don't think there has been networking on behalf of the animals. It's been on behalf of us building businesses to make money around the animals, but not for the purpose of helping the animals, right? Yay. Okay. So now that gave me goosebumps, which means that that's a good thing. Go ahead. You have to say, go ahead. I can tell you wanted to say something, Spencer.
I was just going to say thank you to Roman for that one-liner of path cutter, because I find it very hard to describe myself, because as soon as I say I'm a networker, everybody thinks, like you've said, you've used the phrase of people think of networking as a business thing, like say BNI is in the States or something like that, so it's for profit, it's for generating profit for one's own business, so it's an ego involved. but it's actually looking at it as a social network, but not a social network like it is on Facebook or LinkedIn or so forth.
Right.
But it's actually a social impact network. Yeah, and that's the difference. So yes, I probably am a path cutter, but I said, describe what you do. I'm a connector. Somebody said something else today, and I thought what it was. But yes, it's just those one-liners of describing. But yes, I'm probably revolutionary in what I'm doing at the moment, but I'm certainly not new, because as I said, we've been networking in different forms. I've just
But
seen
your
this
purpose is different.
ability to take it. My purpose is different. My purpose is different, and I brought the two sides together. So I brought business networking together with the rescue dog environment scenario, and bringing them together so they actually do something together. So you use the power of networking in its common context to actually create an outcome, rather than just being a support charity and going out to a philanthropic organization, say like the Kellogg Foundation in the States or something like that, and says, oh, here we've got a program, we've got a board of directors, and we can go and then ask you for X million pounds to support this program. We'll run it as a thing for the next 2-3 years and so forth. But it's actually bringing in being able to see the potential of bringing individuals in who wish to participate and who wish to collaborate. Not just everybody who wants to join a movement, like I said, like Me Too or something, and thinks they're doing something, which they're not. They're just.
And they don't all want to participate. I'm sorry, and they don't all want to participate either. They want to be there, but they don't want to participate. They want to know what's going on, but they don't want to contribute.
No, what I'm looking for is those who wish to participate, those who want to contribute.
Right. And speaking of that now, what kind of... Go ahead. We must have a delay.
No, go on.
I was going to say,
there's a delay.
So how has the impact of placing these disadvantaged people as trainers of underdogs, how has it made a difference? Because I know on your website, you're creating social good impact globally, and I'm going to scroll through this, but you might want to talk to this. It's our time to rise. I agree. Imagine every time something good happens in your business, that something good happens in the world.
As I said earlier, Kathy, Reboundog is a slow cooker. It's not going to happen. The impacts aren't going to happen overnight. They're not going to change society overnight. So I looked at how members could create an impact on a global scale. And one opportunity came up was to partner with an organization movement called Buy One, Give One. So every time their basis is every time something good happens in a business such as yours and mine, we give back one. So if a member joins, we give back something. So what this is showing is how I've helped the members to actually create an impact. And I've chosen a charity out in Nepal, which is taking vet services out to remote areas, hence the transport side, and also where they're vaccinating the street dogs in Nepal in 2 cities in Nepal against rabies. And they have a fantastic business model where 100% of the money that's given by my business or whoever is actually given to that charity, because they fund it. They're a non-profit. I get this right. One's in Singapore and one's in the States. The non-profit, I think, is in Singapore, and the social side is in the States, or the other way around. So the businesses join for $1 a day, which supports all the infrastructure. So every dollar given goes straight to that whichever charity it is. So whereas I'm like giving to a normal national charity, you don't know how much is going in infrastructure, and sometimes it's stupid amounts, and the CEO and the staff are on megabucks to create the marketing and so forth. Yeah, I can be critical. So yeah, this is so every dollar I give, I know goes there. So I can create members and myself can create a greater impact. So I partnered with them, and they had the book is written by co-authored by their chairman. So it was one way of creating that larger impact.
Okay, so now the next thing that you had talked about earlier was that you're doing these sofa meetups, and that's one of your ways of communicating with people. So you might want to address how that's working.
Brilliant. In a word, we've done 2. Are we still alive?
Okay. Yes. Uh-huh.
You there? Yes. Yeah. And I came off one this afternoon. The idea was that if we didn't have COVID and we could actually go out and network individually like we have done with business networks, we'd be sitting in a cafe, we'd be sitting in a pub.
Whoops, we lost him. Okay, and he was going to say they'd be sitting in a cafe or in a pub if COVID wasn't there. So he decided to create a virtual meetup type of atmosphere. So the members that come to it, it's almost like a Zoom type of thing. Okay, here he is.
Okay, he's coming back.
Yeah. Okay, Spencer, I just finished what you were going to say. Yes, you're back.
I'm back. I do apologize. I need fiber. So if we had that real life situation, we'd have a conversation in somewhere like a sofa in a cafe or something like that. What I've done with the Reboundog sofa meetup is create that on a virtual platform, so we can come into what is a virtual room, and we're sitting down and having conversations. What I've done is brought in a guest speaker. Today we had Carmen Rustenberg, the CEO of IBSA, the International Boarding and Pet Services Association. And last month we had Mike Bober, the CEO of PJAC and Pet Industry Joint Advisory Council. So I'm bringing the top industry influencers in that a lot of people wouldn't normally have the access to. And I'm breaking down that silo, I'm breaking down that barrier of access. And it's allowing a conversation to flow that we don't know where it's going, but it's creating phenomenal network opportunities, as in a business sense, of where it's helping members say, "Oh, I am."
So let me ask this: when you do these,
talk to you afterwards.
I know there's a delay here, but let me ask you this: when you do these meetups, are these all with people that want to contribute, or do they want to learn, or both?
Both. They're contributors at the moment. The idea in the future is I'd love it to see it to grow. So where what I phrase as the next generation of pet advocates could come into that room and have a conversation. And if you think back when we were kids, at the start of our career, we were denied access to such people to have a conversation with. We go to a conference and you have to watch them broadcast from a stage. But what if they could have that conversation with somebody? Maybe it's yourself as a TV host, and took away one little tip that influenced their career, or had a conversation with Roman about holistic dog training, or Gaetan about producing shows and so forth. And it's those what I call golden nuggets. And if we can grow the Reboundog sofa meetup so it becomes a place where those conversations can engage, and we don't know where they're going. We've got a core theme of a guest speaker who's come on, who's been, and they're mentoring, they're giving back. And the whole thing is about reciprocity and about giving back. So if they can give back of their knowledge, and somebody else takes it away and says, that's what I need to do. That's what I'd love to do. Need to do. It'd be great. But it's for, rather than just providing a website that provides educational content in a box, sort of tick box. I've done, achieved X, Y, and Z. Now I've got my certificate. What if the conversation became educational, and it educated the next generation of pet advocates, so they take our knowledge from the four of us in this room and beyond, and do something new with it. So it's always that Reboundog is in the background, providing us a place for them to come and engage.
Okay, well, count me in. I'm going to be a lifetime member.
Thank you. I'm humbled.
Okay, and speaking of members, let's look here. You've got the members that you have. You've got some really good influential people that are already on board. And some of these are, like I said, all of these are, almost every one of them are friends of mine. So this is amazing. And you've got quite a, yeah. So, yeah. And Debbie Dahmer.
Caroline came. I'm on Debbie Dahmer's show in 5 hours, 6 hours time tonight.
Oh, are you? Yeah, I've been on Debbie's show. It was. Yeah. I've been on Debbie's show. She's been, and Mindy, and all of these, every one of them, except Steve. I'm not a friend of his, but every one of them. So we've got a lot in common. Okay, so what more questions do you have here, Roman, Gaetan?
I would like to come back to the topic of disadvantaged people. And we take as granted that disadvantaged people are born like that. And it's not the case. It can be circumstantial. A scenario that I witness is somebody has a small business. He has like one client, a big client, which is running 90% of his business. This client failed to pay him. Domino effect, cannot pay the rent. Not able to pay the rent, is expulsed, is kicked out of his apartment, his place, his house. You don't have enough money to make a deposit on a new house or a new apartment, and then he's on the street. You know,
It's
did he?
circumstance.
Right. Other cases, people they have a health episode and they become sick, or any illness will take away their ability to make revenue, ability to be sustain themselves financially, and then they become disadvantaged person. And there's thousands of examples of people who didn't. A disadvantaged person is not somebody who decide I'll be disadvantaged. It's my choice of life. It's my lifestyle. I declare myself disadvantaged, and this is what I want to do. It doesn't happen like that. And when we don't care about these people and we ignore them or take them as, because they are like that, because this is who they are, then we're a big loser. And our society is losing. They are creating even more pain to these people because you ostracize them, you put them aside, and you take that as object. And these objects don't belong in my life. Stay away from me. I don't want to talk to you. And the point of listening that you mentioned from the beginning, Spencer, is a key element. We don't want to listen to these people. We don't have the time. It's too busy.
Well, plus we look at them as scum. We look at them as people that
Right.
don't deserve any better. They're losers. They're losers. They're this. They're that.
Right.
And they're not. It's circumstances, because you can be a millionaire one day and you can be bankrupt the next.
Right.
It depends on how things happen. And as
Yeah.
we know, as spiritual people, we love to be able to identify that a lot has to do with how you live your life. We get that, but
Right.
it also has to be how you accept all the negative things that come your way.
Right. And inside everybody, there's love. And when this love is sitting there, it's useless. When this love is used to help others, it's called compassion. And when there's compassion, there's hope. And when there's hope, there's possibility, and then you can change the world. And I salute what Spencer is doing, because it's another process of helping the people with so-called disadvantage and giving them an opportunity to come back, to have advantage,
Yeah.
gain advantage.
So the last part I would like to ask Roman on this, because Roman, what do you feel? How do you feel about having disadvantaged people teaching underdogs, being trainers, in terms of not necessarily dog training, but let's say dog connecting?
Well, first of all, we have to see, we have learned nothing from dogs, or a little bit. What does a dog do? He observes the present moment in such a detail, and we just simply ignore it. We look at the past, we're stuck in the past. We look in the future, we're stuck in the future. But basically, we're not paying attention to the present. The good thing I feel that the relationship between dogs and people in the prison is to focus on the now moment, where they both creating a relationship, a synchronicity, a quantum field on their own, and then from there they take it to the next level. For a person who likely has been through a traumatic emotional experience on both sides, from the victim side and from the person, and not all the prisoners are being abusers and killers and thieves. You can go to prison for a stupid event like traffic event.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So we have to see that we cannot judge as an outside viewer those people. So we want to give those people a chance to observe them, who they are right now in that moment, working with an emotional intelligent species, and they cooperate together to make things better. Helping the person, helping another person is the first process of healing, to become aware of who he is towards the dog. And the dog reflects him back with no judgment. There's no healthier relationship than being in a relationship with no judgment. And as trainers and behaviorists, we have always to keep that in consideration. The dog doesn't care what happened 10 minutes ago unless it caused him trauma. He cares what's happening right now so he can associate with it. Relationship means relating right that moment, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. But all the experience they gather together goes in a toolbox, and that toolbox goes with the person. It doesn't stay in prison, it doesn't go with the dog, it goes with the person. And the dog takes his own toolbox and takes it outside. So now all we have to do is fill up the toolbox with all these tools that we have available. Healers. Why not a person who is in prison may become a healer, energetic healer, a physical healer, massage therapist? Why not? What's the problem with it? People didn't have a sense of that, now they do. And what is the reason if a person comes out from prison, has a business on his own, taking care of dogs, boarding and training, taking care of dogs, walking dogs? This is a completely new profession. How many dogs are out there? We have, if I'm not wrong, 750 million dogs out there who need service in one way or the other.
Right.
And it's not covered. And why not having those people be educated? And I'm sure if we point there in that point direction, we're going to see that those people from prison are more likely educated from those people who are not in prison and are dog trainers.
Exactly. And now, Spencer, I'm going to show you had talked about on our last show. If you look at the faces of these prisoners that are training the dogs, you can see that there's a level of hope, and they just, and here's Zach. Zach is interactive with the prisoners so that he gets to hug them and tell them about his journey. So that helps too. And look at how happy they are. And here's his program. So what are the last words that you want to say to our fans? What message do you want to get across to them?
There's an opportunity post-COVID to create a compassionate society. We've been very selfish and egotistical before it, and there's been so many instances of it during it. But there's a percentage of society that's willing to contribute and collaborate and participate in changing society for the better. Such opportunities don't come around very often, and probably once in a generation. Reboundog is offering a place for that to start to happen. It's not the total solution. I'm not taking the credit for doing it, but I'm offering the opportunity for your listeners to join us. There's on my website, as you've so kindly shown us, Kathy, there's a membership page called reboundog.com/membership village. And until midnight time today, there is a ludicrously low offer of joining us for $25 a year. That offer will come down after Debbie Dharma's show, and by midnight your time. So,
okay, I'm posting it right now.
Says, come meet up with like-minded pet advocates. Reboundog is providing the opportunity to have those conversations and collaborations, to network with the founding members like Caroline and Deborah and Chris Roy, and be the disruptors, be the innovators, be the visionaries of a new opportunity to take this beyond just simple prison dog programs into allowing underdogs, the undesirable dogs, and the disadvantaged people who are disadvantaged, as Gaetan said, for no obvious reason, to participate in society. And I'd love you to join us, and let's make this happen. And let's go out and educate the next generation of pet advocates.
Okay, that sounds fabulous. What a great show! I'm sorry for the disconnect there with the connection. It happens, and that is an issue. But hopefully, people will have gotten the message of what we're talking about here. Having a brand new networking system that is for the dog. Oh, Gaetan wants to say something. Go ahead, Gaetan.
Well, it's occurred to me that an underdog can connect with dog and not be an underdog. Simple.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Give a chance to an underdog to connect with a dog. Therefore, the underdog is no longer underdog.
An underdog. That's a tongue twister.
It's okay, but it's a dog story.
Okay,
Love
everyone.
it. Thank you, Spencer. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much, Spencer. Thank you,
you.
Gaetan, Roman. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks.